So the key thing to think about with electrical faults is basically if you've got one, it can cause death. Burn down of a property, somebody's life, I would say, with death, that's for sure. That's the extremities of it all. There's certain signs that you can look at for electrical faults: RCDs tripping, MCBs tripping. When it comes down to us testing and inspecting a property, we look for the degrading of a cable. So the biggest sign is what we call in the industry is green goo, when there's the decomposition of PVC on a cable, which can be accelerated by high temperatures. So yeah, there's different faults like that. Obviously, when it comes to an EICR, we do many checks in terms of accessories, check the RCDs, check the devices within the board, check the cables are in a good state. Yeah, so yeah, we do certain cable checks like IR, which is insulation resistance, which again check the sheathing of the cable, check the insulation of the cable, check the cable's in a good condition, which always gives a good indication of a property's design. So a cause of electrical fault is down to numerous things. We could have a short between live and earth, or live and neutral, which would be more disastrous, which causes sparks, again, which we always say loose wires cause fires. So a short would be like, so when live touches neutral, that would then trip your MCB in your property, which is like your tripping device. A live to earth fault would then trip your RCD. So yeah, there's a massive consequence to electrical faults. The property itself, which could burn down. So there's a financial cost that way, but ultimately death to yourself or to someone living in your property or someone staying in your property. There's the emotional cost of losing a family member or a friend. But that's ultimately what it is, though. Yeah, you could die easily. If you've got an electrical fault, you're in a fire. That's what we always say. That's how extreme it can be. You know, people always say to you, like, how dangerous is electricity? It will kill you. You know, there's a reason why these lads have to go through 4 years of training, because they do something wrong, you're going to die. If I give you a live and neutral now, the chances are there's a good chance you're dying today. That's how extreme it is. And I know we're trying to keep it professional, but that's how extreme can it be? That is it. Why would we do it otherwise? Everybody would turn their hand to it if it was all safe as houses. So we're checking it. It's an electrical installation condition report. So we're checking the condition of someone's property. But yeah, the reason we do the EICR, like I say, it's an electrical installation condition report. So it's so important that we get it done, because ultimately it does result in death if things are as bad as they can be. You know, people's properties will burn down. It's so important. You know, so yeah. I mean, yeah, the biggest cost I've seen from the EICR is basically a rewire being needed. I've never seen death, thankfully. I've never seen someone's property burn down. I know many have, and many people have seen death from it. If we only got to take Grenfell, for instance, Grenfell disaster was huge, and that was the reason why EICRs have become more prominent, because of what happened. You know, a tiny electrical fault eventually caused what it caused. You know, and okay, the building happened because of the structure of it. The regulation side of it is huge, especially for rental properties. I mean, especially was it 2021 when they brought in the rule that they must do an EICR every 5 years or every change of tenancy for a rental property. Now it's down to tenants maybe changing things. Tenants had sockets, had light switches. So yeah, it's so important that we do these checks just to keep within the regulations and to make sure that the safety of a structure and the safety of someone's life, more importantly, is paramount. If someone's told you need a rewire without having it tested, now if we come and test your property or somebody else comes and test your property, then ultimately we could save you from saving the rewire, because you may not need one. That's the only time it's going to save you money. And that's hard to get across naturally on a camera. Yeah, it's all about safety. The EICR is all about safety. Same as when we do an EIC, when we've done an install, electrical installation certificate for the same purposes. We've then retested. So we retest to make sure we've not caused any faults as well. But yeah, ultimately that's what it's all down to. EICs, EICRs, taking the condition of what you've done or what somebody else has done. Yes, an EICR will help with insurance, simply because your insurance company will probably demand up-to-date electrical certification, especially if you're selling a property as well. That comes down to mortgages needing that to, like I say, lenders, for instance. Again, for rental properties, for landlords needing that for their terms and their conditions within their rental agreements. So yeah, it would definitely save on insurance because, again, like I say, ultimately the insurance company needs it. A standard EICR should take, a proper EICR should take within 3 to 4 hours. Again, depending on the size of the property, depending on how many fuse boards there is in the property. Again, that's domestic or commercial or industrial. But yeah, I'd say 2 to 3 hours, 3 to 4, again, depending on the property size. Depends how far we delve into it. Obviously, we have a certain criteria where it's 100% test, 25% accessories brought forward. And we check each and every single one of them. We always do full inspection of every property for its devices, for its accessories, and a full verification of all the cabling. Yeah, I mean, the reasons behind needing an EICR is simply because you don't know. And none of us do. You've got to bear in mind cables are hidden in ceilings, under floors, in walls. So what might look good on the surface, you don't know what's going on behind the wall, behind the ceiling, under the floor. So you have no idea. Until you pull out an EICR, until you get an electrician round to carry out an EICR, you just simply don't know. We don't know by walking into your property what the condition of your electrics are. We need to carry out that inspection. Definitive Electrical's been around for 20 years. We're not a come and go company. We've not got minimal experience. If you put the whole combined team's experience together, we'll probably outnumber the masses. And again, Definitive Electrical is nice and easy as a company. We have an online booking system, which is nice and convenient for you. You book online, you pay online, no ringing round, no having to ring us. It's nice and simple and convenient for you. If you're just moving into a property, I'd certainly recommend an EICR. This probably should have done prior to moving in. However, if you haven't had one done, again, it's so important. Again, just simply because you don't know the condition of your electrics. You could have thought you've brought the best house on the market. Yeah, so if you're buying a property or you've just brought a property and you've not done an EICR, I'd seriously recommend it. So even if you've brought the property and you feel like it's too late, it certainly isn't. I think you don't know the condition of your property. You know, we'd have to get an EICR done to find out the condition, to find out the cabling, and to make sure that you're going to be safe in your home. I think if you've been in property years and years, it's probably more important, because if you've never had that checked, again, like everything will age, cables will degrade, devices will break down. We need to be out there to be checking these things. It's like having an MOT on a car. An MOT on a car is every single year. I'm not saying the EICR has to be every year, but it's best to get it checked. For someone to want to know the detail, and it's easy to explain to customers why we do an EICR, and it's basically down to the condition of their electrics. Again, nobody knows. We can't tell you just by looking at your house that your electrics are perfect. We can't do that. It could be a new build, but it doesn't mean the electrics are perfect. Cables could have been snagged whilst it was pulled in. Things get damaged, unfortunately, but that's the reason it's so important to get an EICR. The reason you'd come to Definitive Electrical is because we're not what we class ourselves as a one-man band. You know, we have a team of electricians who are prompt and usually have quite a lot of availability because the team's so big. So the reason you choose Definitive Electrical over us, like I said, we've had 20 years of experience in the industry. There's a level of trust to what we do. We know we've been around for 20 years for a reason. As I've said before, we're not a fly-by-night company. But because we're a big team, and because we're a big team, we can come out to you when it's convenient for you. Right. This is the thing, isn't it? Right. And just because it works, it don't mean it's working forever. You know, it's a bit like your car. Like I said, the reason we have MOTs is to check that our cars are roadworthy. The reason we have EICRs is to check that our house are houseworthy. You know, to make sure we can live in it, to make sure we can stay alive in it. Ultimately, I think the MOT thing has always been a good thing, because we use that, don't we, to customers. Like, the reason you have an EICR is because for the same reason you have an MOT. Ultimately, nobody wants to die. I mean, they've got a burn rate, haven't they? That's the idea. That's the reason behind fire doors, is because they've got a certain burn rate. It'll take longer to burn through than a standard door. But yeah, I mean, that's not really part of an EICR. I know where you're going with it. Like, it's a rental property in an HMO or a block of flats. So do we have to carry these out? Yes, we do. Even more so, because house of multiple occupancy, for instance, you're going to have more people playing around with electrics than you would do if it was just yourself living in a property or you and your family. You know, so the level of importance for a block of flats or an HMO is so important, and hence the reason why there's rule changes in place and why landlords of HMOs or blocks of flats have to carry out different regulations. They've got different criteria to stick to compared to Mrs. Jones that lives at whatever address. Here at Definitive Electrical, we have a convenient booking system where it's convenient for you. It's all online. You can pay online, book online, nice and convenient. You can book online.